The Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. Alrighty then, let's get started. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Top Floor Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, and today's episode was inspired by something super simple, but yet so important. Um, and all of that, plus it was all about a pair of gold high heels. So let me just set the stage for you on this story. I was two of my partners, independent business people, but the three of us collaborate on an event called Radiance. And so Abby, who owns a holistic company called Take Charge Holistic Health, and then Anisha Grimmett. So Abby and then Anisha Grimmett. Anisha she's a professional stylist, and so she owns a company called A New Look by Nisha. And and then I have my leadership style. So the three of us were getting together and we collaborated with the local university in town, Rockford University, to host an event called Radiant. And so this was our first women's event and we really wanted to lean into women. I did each one of us did a 30-minute segment and then there was networking in between and we had hors d'oeuvres and some light dinner. And it was a very wonderful evening. Well, when your friend, one of your friends is a professional stylist, it's pretty intimidating on what you're going to wear. So she's like an executive stylist, right? So it's all about the dress. It's all about first impressions. And when you're with her, she is dressed to the nines, and man, she's got it going on. She's amazing and she's beautiful. So she sent me as we were preparing for this event, she sends me a text because she's so subtle. So she uses grace and salt communication perfectly. She sent me a text that was a picture of a dress, and she said, "I think you should wear this to the Radiance event, for your presentation." And it was a very beautiful kind of deep green, and it had a nice um, like gathered at the waistline with a big gold buckle on it, and it fell just beautifully. It was made of material that was heavy enough so my rolls didn't show and all that good stuff, right? So middle-aged, here we are. And so she knew my body type and my style, so she texts this to me and she says, "I think you need to wear this dress." Well, what Nisha tells me I'm gonna do. So I order the dress. I order the dress in two sizes because I wasn't quite sure this whole mail order thing. I like it and I don't like it, right? So I ordered it in two sizes, sent the one back that didn't fit me, but I needed a pair of shoes because normally I would wear I've got some fancy black flats or black low profile heels, and and she's like, "Get anything, a little bit. This is a program that's called Radiance. So you need to be radiant." And so I was just struggling. I don't know what kind of shoes I'm going to wear. I was really stressing. I didn't have jewelry, all things, because she's got it all, right? But yet it needed to be me. I didn't want to dress like her. I wanted to dress like me. And this dress that she had picked out for me, I loved it. I literally loved it. And so so this would have been on a Thursday was the event. So then on Monday of that event, I went to a client's office to do a disc training. And as I walk in and my contact, she comes out of her office and she has on the most beautiful pair of gold, bright gold shoes, high heel shoes. I can't even say, good morning to her because I'm looking at her shoes, which, by the way, would be perfect for my dress. So I just said, "Oh my gosh, I have to have those shoes." And she just looks at me, she goes, "Okay." And she just pops them off her feet and she goes, "Here, take them now." I've got another pair in my, in my desk, and I'm thinking, really? How many women have an extra set of a pair, an extra pair of shoes in their desk? Well, I did when I was in corporate for sure. Some were flats, some were open-toed, or I would wear open-toed shoes, but I couldn't wear open-toed into the factory, so I would have a pair of normal closed shoes in in my desk. But anyway, so she just gave me her shoes. I was like, oh my gosh, Natalie, you are amazing. So, she is such a dear, dear friend that I wanted to share that with you because it really wasn't about the shoes, right? It was about her generosity. It was about her friendship. Excuse me, I didn't think I was going to get emotional. And that reminder that some women will quite literally give you their shoes off their feet. And that's my dear, dear friend, Natalie. So let's talk about this connection between friendship and leadership. So, women leaders, right? We often talk about influence, we talk about confidence, we talk about impact, but rarely do we talk about connection. And the truth is that your circle matters. So I don't know how you grew up, but I grew up as a in a Presbyterian church, so very traditional church. But back in those days, they had what was called circles. So, and it was women's small groups. Like today, you would call them small groups, women's small groups. But back then they were called circles, and my mom was a member of one of the circles, and so she would go once a month. I don't think it was more often than that, but they would have food. Everybody'd bring food, like it was a potluck, and then they would do Bible study maybe, or they would just chat and connect about life and what's going on. And so I love that circle. And a couple years ago, I had created an executive circle, if you will, called the Executive Summit Circle for ladies who were director level and above, a place for us to connect and learn from each other about life and just discuss, right? So that image of circle is so important. And so I want you to know this episode is especially for women because we don't take the time typically to lean in and pour into our circle, and our circle matters. Those are the people. So I want you to think about who is in your circle. Like right now, just stop this recording and write down everybody, every woman that you know in your circle. So who is that? And that could be a client, that could be a vendor, that could be a neighbor. It could be anybody, but who do you know in your circle? And write that down. This is where they support you, they share with you, they cheer you on. There's high trust. Like you really trust, like Natalie, the gold shoe gal. I trust her that I can share things with her that I couldn't share with some other people, right? So identify who those people are. And then I just want to go through just three really quick tips on how to maintain those radiant type friendships, even when life gets busy. Now, as I'm recording this and as I'm telling you about this, I don't do these things. So I need you to hold me accountable too, because life is busy and I'm busy. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying my best to just be grinding this away, which by the way, effective now, I am not going to grind in this business. I am not going to hustle the way that I've been hustling this past year. I've learned a lot of lessons, but the biggest one I've learned is that hustling is exhausting and it makes you appear desperate. And I don't want to be desperate. I want to serve the people that God has put me on this earth to serve in this season that I'm in right now. So, three tips for maintaining radiant friendships. And I'm totally going to get, I'm just going to let this video go. I am not going to redo it just because I'm emotional. The first one is we need to stay intentional. So again, I'm talking to myself too. So I am not perfect at this at all. In fact, I'm terrible at this. So I'm listening as well as you are. So we need to stay intentional, right? So friendships don't grow by accident, especially female friendships. Now, I say especially, I'm not a man, so I don't know about male friendships, but I do know I watch my son and he has a very good circle of friends and he's with them constantly. So I don't know if it just comes naturally to him or if he has to work at it. But I know for me, I have to stay intentional to build those friendships or they disappear over time. So when I left my corporate job, I left my best friend. It was one of the hardest things I had to do. As you know, her name is Trisha. And but we meet every week on Tuesdays for lunch. If we can, right? For most Tuesdays, we meet for lunch because I don't want to lose that friendship, and nor does she. So here's the tip. Put reminders on your calendar to check in, to send a note, plan a quick coffee, something like that, a 5-minute message, right? That can just reignite that connection and help pour into them the way they're going to pour into you. Number two is to celebrate without comparison. In the world today of social media, it is so easy to fall into that comparison trap. Back in my day, they used to say keeping up with the Joneses, right? Where it was that the Joneses were your neighbors and they'd come in with a new Tesla and you'd think, oh boy, do I need to get a new Tesla? Or, things like that. We're not going to keep up with the Joneses. We're going to do what we need to do for us, but we are going to celebrate the ladies around us that are killing it or they're reaching their goals or whatever that goal might be, right? The name of this podcast is Top Floor Please. I remind people that that means, well, first of all, it's called that because I have this image of an elevator, with the elevator doors, the old style ones where it's the gate and you walk in and there's the elevator man in his suit, like his velvet, I don't know. I think it's a velvet red suit from the movies back in like Casablanca days. And you walk in with your briefcase and you just look at him and go, top floor, please. Like, right? There's nothing but nothing better than the top floor, as they say in Pretty Woman. But my point is that that's a top floor of what that looks like for you. It doesn't have to be the C-suite. It doesn't have to be president of a company. It doesn't have to be any of that. It's the top floor of what that looks like for you. So wherever that is, I want you to celebrate your women in your circle as they would celebrate you as well. And the last thing that I'm going to mention today on this podcast anyway is to be generous, but also receive generously. When Natalie popped off her shoes, I could have absolutely said, no, 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 thank you so much, but no, no, no. And then I would have left thinking, why didn't I take her shoes? Because I don't have any shoes to wear and I need to be radiant. I need to represent what this whole theme of this event is. And so, but I didn't. I took her shoes. I said, really? Okay. I tried them on. They were a little bit too big, but I didn't care. I wore them anyway, even though I kind of clocked a little bit. It didn't matter. And so be generous, but also receive generously. People want to serve and they want to give. And when we don't receive generously or we don't accept the gift, it robs them of their joy. So let's not do that, right? We want to also receive as generously as we give. So let others pour into you, accept those shoes and the encouragement and the help. So here's one just action step for today that I want to leave you with, and that is to reach out to one woman in your circle this week, right? You wrote down all the women in your circle. I want you to think about that a little bit longer and then choose one of them and reach out to that woman in your circle this week. Encourage her, thank her, offer to be her extra pair of shoes. All right, well, if this episode made you smile, I hope it did. I want you to share it with your circle, and I want you to be thinking about what shoes are you generously going to give and what shoes are you going to generously receive. And if you're looking for a community of women leaders who lead with grace and courage, Grace and Salt Leadership Academy is where you need to be. So go to my website, graceandsaltleadership.com. All the information is there. You can DM me. If you would please follow this podcast, download it, all the things. When you do that, the algorithm likes it. We're feeding the algorithm, and then more people, women and men, can learn from this podcast. And I would absolutely, I'd love that. So anyway, that's it's been a pleasure, and I just thank you so much for listening. You have an absolute radiant day. Thanks so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friends to keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to rise, find your voice, and lead with clarity and confidence, we'd love to connect with you. Reach out at graceandsaltleadership.com to learn how Grace and Salt can support your growth. Remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else, just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time on the top floor.